Hey, what's up everybody? It's Mike from Cornfield Customs, and today is going to be a different type of video. It's going to be a metal shaping video and kind of a how-to, but I'm taking a video I saw on Facebook that was on a group that I'm on that's about metal shaping, and someone got to a point where the panel wasn't quite cooperating and they needed a little advice. So I'm going to go ahead and play that video that they posted right here. So what I'm seeing in that video is that the panel is just not stretched enough, which it kind of gets kind of a gray area, especially if you're not super used to power hammer techniques. So the center has a little bit of tension in it as you're stretching it up, and the edges will get loose, and it'll give you that flopping back and forth or the oil canning type effect. So the solution for that is just to continue to stretch and blend everything out evenly across the panel. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to take this roof insert blank here that is for a 33-34-5 window. I'm going to go ahead and get on the power hammer and I'm going to shape it and try to get to the same point or close to what's going on in that video and show you that it kind of pops back and forth and it doesn't sit perfectly flat on our buck. And then from there, we'll talk a little bit more about it and get back on the power hammer and continue to stretch that out, showing that more stretch is actually what's needed, not what most people think of coming in and shrinking the edges here. I don't like to mix shrinking around the edges on a radial stretch low crown panel. So let me get on the power hammer, we'll get this stretched up to the point that you saw in the video, and we'll keep moving ahead and get it to lay on our buck. All right, so I've done some power hammer work, and this panel is not going to flop exactly the same way as the one in the video I saw, just due to that it's not a square and it's quite a bit larger, so it's going to have some weight to it. But you can see that if I lift up on it there, it drops this edge and that edge, and then when I let down on it, it lifts that edge up. So just the fact that it's not square, it's got a little bit more weight here in the center and wants to lay this direction. So it's doing essentially the same thing as the panel in the video, and to get that to not do that anymore, you just got to continue hammering out the panel. So I'm staying roughly about an inch away from the edge and hammering across the panel and looking for any low spots that need brought up, but just working the panel and stretching this up, which allows the edges to fall. So that's what I'm going to continue to do, is run this in the power hammer. And I have to take into account some form from the way I hold the panel. So by holding it this way, you can see that the panel wants to droop this direction. So it's going to build some of that form in with shaping. So to counteract that, just to keep it kind of balanced and not having too much form this direction, I will rotate the panel and I'll hammer it this way as well. That way it kind of hangs this way and the form is being worked both directions. So I don't trap any of that form one direction or the other during the shaping process. So you got to always take into consideration that shape works with form and form works with shape, and you just got to keep those balanced. If you get too much form trapped in a panel, it can be a real bear to get back out. So I always try to work and keep the shape and form kind of balanced and both in mind at the same time. So let me get back on the hammer and we'll keep stretching this up and getting this panel to lay nice and flat on the buck. So now we can test fit it back on the buck after more power hammer work. And you can see that it just kind of snaps into place. It's not, you know, fighting and twisting and popping. And we can push down and it's tight up against the buck. There's no gap that you can push down and touch. So from this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use sweeps to check across it and make sure we don't have any low spots or high spots. Just by feeling across it, it feels pretty good. But we are going to check it with sweeps. And on the buck, I do have the sweep numbers written across it, so I can check that. And then I'm going to switch the hammer tooling from a 24 down to a 36 and just run a couple medium to medium light planishing passes just across it, just to blend out any remaining tension that's in the panel, because it's a little loose here. If I push there, it's a little loose. So just that little bit of planishing will help relax all of that out the remainder of the way. But you can see that just that extra little bit of hammering took that kind of tension out of it where it was flopping back and forth, very similar to how it was in the video at the beginning of this video. Just that extra hammer work tightened the edges up by stretching the center out just a little bit more and correcting the shape across the panel. So let me check this with some sweeps. I'll change the tooling out and we will planish it and adjust any low areas that I find with the sweeps. All right, there you have it. Here's the finished roof insert, and it's lays down on the buck real nice, and everything's smooth. You could see in the video there were a couple red lines or circles right here and here. Those were low spots that I found with the sweep. So I just checked everything with the sweep, found those two low spots, marked them, and I raised them up until I was happy with how they fit with the sweep. So hopefully it made a little bit of sense with hammering out the center to raise or stretch the center area, which will help push and tighten these edges up. It's a little bit of a backwards thinking process to where, you know, you first come in, you're like, oh, I could just shrink these edges, but then you have to clean up all your shrinking marks. So if you think of it kind of backwards, if you stretch and raise this, it'll essentially be similar to shrinking the outside edge, because the outside stays the same while the center comes up, and that will tighten your outside edge and it'll take that floppiness and that oil canning out. So that's what I tried to show with this video, but it's kind of hard to be able to talk about exactly what's happening while I'm hammering due to the hammer being so loud and me needing to focus on exactly what I'm doing to the panel while I work. So more stretch is often what's needed when you run into a panel that's just not laying right. So it kind of comes with experience, and the more you shape, especially on the power hammer, the more comfortable you'll get. So again, hopefully it was informative on just trusting the process, taking things through completion, and just not stopping when you get into kind of a questionable area, especially on like that smaller piece that was done at the beginning of this video that kind of inspired this entire video of showing the loose edge. On something like that where you're testing, just experiment a little bit. You know, you could stretch that out and see what happens, and it would probably relax those edges down, but you just have to be willing to try new things, see what happens, and learn from exactly what happens, if it's a mistake or it works in your favor. So again, hopefully this was informative, and if any of you guys have something you're struggling with metal shaping wise or tube bending wise, anything like that that you see me doing on the channel, I'm going to kind of open up my email, send me a video of what you're struggling with, just like the video at the beginning of this video. If you can send me a video of what's happening and kind of what you're struggling with, I will do my best to answer that in a video format on this channel, as long as it's something I have experience with and I can somewhat duplicate, and we can work through the problem together and come up with a solid solution. So I'm going to drop my email down in the video description, and feel free to email me videos of things you're struggling with, and we will start up kind of a new series on on stuff you're working at home and struggling with. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap this video up. I appreciate all you guys checking out this video as well as all my other ones and helping the channel to continue to grow. So please continue to tell your friends, comment, like, share. Everything really helps get the channel name out there and continued growth, which is what this is all about. So thank you guys so much, and we will catch you on the next one.